This video is about continuous tagged objects in XLPublish. Now this is our same table that I've used in most of my examples. But this time I want to publish this table on an incremental basis, what we call continuous. We're going to say for X number of months, I want you to capture each incremental version of this. So if I say 12, it'll keep 12 versions. If I go to a 13th version, it'll drop the first and keep the last 12. If I say 24 or 36, or if I say 52. In this particular case, what I've done in order to accommodate this is I've put an equals now in this cell, and then over here I have references to that cell. That way each one of these cells is going to be exactly the same time. And it will be the last time that I changed my data. Now, in my tags, it's exactly the same except there's one thing subtly different. If I go edit, and then I click on the ellipsis, I have a choice of multiple choices here, but the one I'm talking about here is continuous. If I have continuous unchecked, it'll write over what's there before, which is very often what you want. If, however, I click on continuous, I could type 12, I could type 24, I could type 52, it doesn't matter. I could type as many versions of this publish as I want. And what it'll do is it'll publish the first 12, one after the other, and put them below each other in the table. And on the 13th, it'll drop the first one and add the last 12th one below that. If I go OK now, it says table emp data ... 12. Fine. Let's publish it. See what happens. And it has published. So let's close that and go look at what the target file shows now. You notice this table says table emp data 12. And here is all our data, including the date and time that this was published. And it has a column that we put in, or a field we put in, that has published number 1 in it. Now that means that this has been published right up through to Power BI. So if I go get data, Power BI data sets, I click on last refreshed, which will show me the one I just published a minute ago. I'll click create, and it will pull in table info and table emp data. Now in this particular case, you'll notice that it has a new field in it. It's called publish number. So if I say publish number and department and salary, this tells me that this is the summary of the data by department for publish number 1. I'll keep that in the back of your mind. Let's go back to our file. And like I did before, another time here, I gave this person a big promotion. I gave this person a similar significant promotion. What that means is that when I publish this now, it will not overwrite the table that is in the target file. It will actually append this below it. So it'll keep the first one and it will add the second one. One of the reasons why I have publish time in there so I can differentiate them. If I decide, no, I don't want to increment this to put number 2. Say I did number 1 in the middle of the month and now I'm doing it again and it's still the middle of the month. If I click overwrite last publish, it will overwrite the last one you published. So you will not have a new month, it'll just replace the current month. But in this case, I want to overwrite. So let's go. Notice it is completed. So I click close. And I open my target file again, and I look at table emp data 12. I now have 2 sets of data. One is publish 1, as one is publish 2. And the evidence, if you look at the bottom of publish 1, barrel of oil, she is now 121,000, but in publish one, she was still just $21,000. And what does that do for me when I go to Power BI? Let's have a look. Everything looks exactly the same. I have published number one, department one, whatever. But watch what happens when I go refresh. Oh, look at this. Now it says published number two. And so you'll notice here that group 4 was 398. Now group is 498. And what I really want to do is turn this into a slicer. Now, what has this slicer done for me? It says now I can click on 2, and it shows me for published number 2. 1 shows me for published number 1. Remember how I added a field in there called start date? Or publish time, that was it. When I type publish time, it works exactly the same way. If I change it to a slicer, I don't really need to have published number in this table anymore. So quickly, I'm going to show you another example of how you can use continuous. And you got to keep in mind that there are a lot of ways you can use continuous. But this is one that I think you'll find useful. I'll just show it to you quickly now that I've shown you the details. In this case, I'm refreshing this pivot table, which is connecting to an external data source, and it's bringing in by month your total sales. So what's happened is that I've done month 1, I've done month 2, March is now finished, or month March, or whatever the fiscal month 3 is. Now it says month 3. So here is the sales for month 3. If I publish this now, and it's set up the way it was before, you notice it's monthly sales ... 24, which means it's going to keep 24 incremental versions of this data. Now we're publishing it. And it is published. And what that means is I've just published a third set of data to my target file. Let's just go straight to the result. Here is my Power BI desktop form. I have created some quick cute charts, and I have created a country map and a sales analysis, etc., etc. But you notice how it's month 1 and 2. And if I go here, it's also month 1 and 2. But if I go back here and I refresh this now, since I've published month 3, watch what happens when I refresh. And now month 3 is there. So my incremental continuous publish has published the 3rd month. Now, what's really important to realize is that if I publish this to Power BI Service now and distribute it to people in the field, you don't need to go refresh, because by the publishing the data from Excel Publish directly to the Power BI Service, every time they open this report in Power BI in the browser, or every time they refresh it in their browser, it will bring in the most recent data, which in our case would have been 3 months of data. This is the most interesting example of continuous. And there's other examples. You could do scenarios. You could do balance sheets and income statements for every month throughout a year, or forever, I guess, or for multiple years, by capturing each month's balance sheet and income statement in a continuous data set. So that shows you the continuous capability of Excel Publish.